Hey guys, so it's me again. So today we're going to do we're going to be doing basically a commentary on my Justice League Pandora's Box project and really how who the writing process went for me in certain aspects for it. So yeah, here we go. So I'll let you guys think up if you want to listen in on everything or anything like that. And I'll hit play in three, two, one. So so for this aspect, really with Superman, I really wanted to explore Clark Kent more and really not Superman because really it seems like we've gotten the Superman part down with since Zack really got the Superman part for his arc done. It seemed like we needed a lot more Clark Kent. So yeah. So for this one right here with this conversation with Clark and Lois, I wanted them to really delve deep into really like the reason of like why he why they're about like really the fill in the plot hole of really like how did the world come to accept Superman being back and Clark Kent. So because that was to be a huge plot hole in a sense. So yeah. So for this little aspect where Lois is pregnant, I was thinking about like really what would Zach put away in hindsight, and I thought that would be the Lois and Bruce Wayne subplot. So instead, I made Lois pregnant during that time in BVS, and not really that time with Bruce when Clark was dead. So, because I thought that in hindsight, Zach would take out. Now, Perry's scene right here, I wanted to explore really the family aspect of the Daily Planet because looking at how Perry was portrayed in both BVS and The Man of Steel, I really did see him more of like a family figure in the Daily Planet. So you're really gonna see that a lot more in really how I wrote this. Now, now, really, with that whole aspect, it really does kind of like it's really kind of like a joke in a sense where it's like, of course, Perry would know, but it also is like a pretty cool character moment because with how I figured that since Jenny Olsen and Perry White were at the fight actually saw Clark in his Superman costume in Man of Steel, I was like, yeah, it would make sense for them to know that Clark and Superman were the same thing because that would make them look dumb. Kind of like what David F. Goyer said when he was in an interview with in Man of Steel, talking about Lois knowing who Superman is. Now, now for this with Wonder Woman and Diana and the Amazons, I wanted to make it look like a boy in a bubble, his situation, boy outside the bubble, returning to the bubble in a sense. And I think I really did pull that off well because the Amazons, as you'll find out, kind of have their reasons for not wanting to join the fight and being hesitant in the beginning. So, in that aspect, I think that was actually kind of cool to do. And with and really, I wanted to explore really the with Wonder Woman really how talking about opening up about her fear. It really does show that even really like a goddess or really like a god killer even could even be afraid at times, and I really wanted to explore that as well with with Diana and Hippolyta talking about their fears. Like it's really about like two fears clashing to really see which one would make the greater good, because fear to me is kind of like a sense. It's kind of like a sixth sense for something to be safe and really do. So I thought that was really a really cool concept to do. Now, for this Aquaman arc, I really thought it would be really interesting to really explore really the why of being a king. Like, what happens during what happens after the king arc? Like, what happens after becoming the king in this situation? Because I feel like in Western, in really cinema or art in general, it's usually just, oh, the outcast has become king, and then that's usually it. But then I was like thinking, like, what would it be like for someone? What it would be really interesting, to explore really that outcast now learning to be in his kingship. What would he really do in that situation where he's finally become king, and I feel like that really hasn't been explored. So I think that's really this is really Aquaman's Arthur's story arc, and this is really interesting to me, and I feel like it's really one of my favorites. And really, that's why I had and now for Orm here, I wanted him to really have a interesting character arc where you really understand him in the situation where he's not really a villain, and really explore really what he was trying to do in hindsight. Like in hindsight, was it really bad or really good that he wanted at the whole heart of it to unite the seven seas, which is really kind of like what Aquaman does in Zack's storyboards and Justice League Pandora's box. So I really thought that would be interesting to explore him a lot more, and especially in the grander scheme of things. And I really do think that is really interesting in that aspect because even though Orm and Arthur were enemies, they're still brothers. So I really wanted to explore that even in a separate situation. And I really thought that was really interesting as well for Orm as a character. So there was just this like one little scene where this really kind of like set up the stakes for really the new characters like Flash and Cyborg, like Barry and Victor, who really are kind of new to this whole superhero thing, who are really kind of like the kids, I guess you want to call them. Some people call them that. But I really wanted to really make you understand in this whole scene that even Barry, as jokey as he is, knows the stakes and how far he's willing to go, which is why he kind of makes this bet. Now, for this little thing with Cyborg, I really wanted to really kind of like with Victor and his mindscape, I kind of like imagined this whole mindscape thing and to kind of really took inspiration from Bente on Alien Force and Ultimate Alien with this alien called Alien X, where there are like these three floating heads and they're trying to decide on a single thing. And I really thought that would be really cool because Victor knows that he's a kid and knows that with all this power that he has in the cyber world, that he can really how that he can really destroy the world if he wanted with by thinking irrationally. So he kind of really has its parents to kind of he created this mindscape where his parents are counseling him in a sense to really help him decide on things. And for like and for Silas, I kind of like gave him the voice of Delicus, in which is basically like kind of like the voice of rage and aggression in a sense, while the mom is really the voice of re- is really the voice of reason and compassion, but they both bring up good points in a sense where you can really see it come from both ways, because it's like you have this being called Darkseid that that has conquered 100,000 worlds at least, and there's really no telling what he can do. So you can kind of see it from Silas's perspective when he says that you need to control all the nukes because we don't know how powerful he is. So in that aspect, it makes sense. But when it comes to Eleanor, she really understands really that her son is really kind of like alone, but we also need to focus on the but we need to also focus on the aspect of the dark side as well. So then considering both options from its parent from its parents, he decides to go to Philadelphia. Now, for this aspect, I think it was a really great introduction into and really more continuity to Alfred's and Bruce's relationship with one another these past 20 years as Batman, because now he's talking about his really intentions and his dreams from the future. Now, now this little bit of dialogue from Alfred talking about his aspects about how he and having his own demons kind of really does illustrate and hint at a past where he was in the military as well. So I thought that was really interesting for me to do, to kind of hint at his past. Now the introduction of the Raish family and the League of Assassins, I really thought was really great at exploring, because how I thought of this whole situation, and it really what gave me the decision to include the League of Assassins, is once again the removing of the Batman and Lois plot line. But then I was thinking that maybe what would be very interesting is to have Damien go through this arc and really kind of like explore the history of the League of Assassins, and really like why have they come, like yeah, they stop crime and stuff, but I think but really how I thought of it, what how I have always thought of the League of Assassins, was that maybe Raish was at the Battle of Dark, the and and after the first battle, he realized that Darkseid would return for revenge. So he and the master kind of like he is kind of like created the League of Assassins, and at a certain point he that's why the League of Assassins were really created. And I really think that's a really cool aspect of the League of Assassins because it's like the League of Assassins were really born not just to stop crime. That was like a small thing for training and stuff. But the real battle and the real reason why the League of Assassins were created were to stop Darkseid. And I thought that was really, really cool. A really cool thing to dive into. Now, those little places I really wanted to hint at because those are really kind of like the place, those are really kind of the things that really did, that really were interesting because it was like, it kind of like me hinting at something big. Now, this is Lex meeting Dr. Poison, aka Dr. Maru, and I really wanted to really kind of like delve into really like with his journey, like Lex is really kind of playing this two-face role in this instance where he's playing how he's using the revenge card a lot to get these people to join his cause, but secretly hiding that it isn't to get revenge, but really to stop Darkseid. And I really think that was really in continuity with how Lex was portrayed in Batman v Superman, where even though he was crazy, he wasn't, and really was against Superman, he wasn't really a villain. He really just cared about the Earth and wanted to protect it. But he was going at it the wrong way. And I think, and that the way I feel about it, is that what you gonna call it? Is that they were exploring the yin and yang situation of the quote Justice League, the Legion of Doom, or Justice League of Doom, or League of Doom, you know, however you guys want to call it, but the League of Doom, like, and that's really why I didn't call them the League of Doom or the Legion of Doom, because that's not really what Lex was about making this team. He just wanted to make a team to protect the Earth from Darkseid. Now, for this, now really for this whole aspect, I wanted to really make in continuity that that the events in the James Wan's Aquaman movie did take place, but there were some things differently that happened, like Black Manta actually going to the prison with Orm, which again is in continuity with the storyboards. So basically, kind of like the same events that happened in Aquaman, where are actually pretty much the same in that aspect, except for the ending. And so with this, I wanted to really explore more of Black Manta and really how Lex were and really how Lex and Black Manta were really friends at the beginning of this, and really how Black Manta was really kind of like helped Lex outside his company, and really how far deep they went. So I thought that was really interesting. Now this was really another interesting thing because in this whole journey, Orm is looking back at really what he's done, and really like when Orm sees his brother talk, when Orm's brother kind of where Arthur talks to Orm, he sees the situation in his eyes, and he really didn't think about how extreme it was at the situation. But then, and really when Arthur didn't let him out of his cell, that to me really signified that he wasn't really just there. He would really didn't trust Orm to that point yet. But so and Arm and Orm, he was really hurt by that, but he understood it. But then you have Lex coming to coming to Orm saying the same thing, and now he has two people saying that. First his brother, and then a stranger that he doesn't know. And now with this kind of like second chance, second second time hearing it in a more intense tone because Arthur really didn't say it. Arthur, in my mind, didn't really say it so seriously, but Lex actually said it with such urgency because he was paranoid as he is, like first with Superman and now with Darkseid. So that's why he was like, Orm is like, okay, you know what? I understand the stakes and the state of the situation. I'll help you. Now, this is a little thing about the clinical death thing. Like, this whole clinical death situation is really a funny story because it actually took me a while. Like when I was looking up, like when I was trying to figure out how Superman would come back to the land of the living, I was like, okay, how am I gonna do this? So basically, what I did was it took me like a few days to actually Google like ways to make it realistically possible for Superman to be alive, and then I was and then I finally found and then I finally found this thing called the clinical death, and it's very rare. It very rarely happens, and the last one recorded and the longest one recorded for a clinical death was actually in 2014, where it lasted, where someone was dead for 8 minutes and then came back to life. So that's really how the clinical death thing came to be. Now, for this Wonder Woman part with the lasso of truth, I really wanted to explore really like what really happened, and I really wanted to explore kind of like what really happened in the history lesson, because with Diana kind of narrating it, we kind of just got the cliff notes. Like we kind of just got the cliff notes of it and stuff like that, but we didn't really get the full details. And from what like and from what Kevin Smith said, like there was actual dialogue in the history lesson with Zeus, the old gods, and even the Green Lanterns, the King of Men. Like, so in the assembly cut, there's actual dialogue in the history lesson. So I really wanted to really kind of like explore that in detail with my detailed version of the history lesson. Mm, yeah, and really, I wanted to really make that come in full circle, because, like, once again, it's like everything that has happened in the past, from the history lesson to now, has really just been building up to Darkseid's arrival. Like, the God Killer, everything has been leading up to Darkseid. So I really wanted to make that connective tissue with that whole thing. Now this little scene right here with Victor and Cyborg and Barry, I wanted to do like that CW Flash meets Flash moment, as I call it, from Barry's from the D from Ezra's Flash point of view because in a sense like I felt like it was kind of like obligated like I was kind of obligated because I he really kind of did predict it but I wasn't really 100% sure like I was only 5% sure that it would happen but the second reason why I wanted to use it was because with how DC was with how Zach was talking about how in the BVS press tour he wanted to explore the multiverse in his DCEU. I felt like the Flash meets Flash scene really just couldn't be wasted on it because the Flash meets Flash moment for me would have been a taste of what's really to come but with the but with Toby Emmerich and Walter Mata not doing anything with the Flash meets Flash moment, I decided you know what I'm gonna use it on my own. I can't I just couldn't not use it and have it I I really just couldn't have it be wasted and left on an open room just laying on the floor. I just couldn't really do that as a DC fan. Now, mm, now for this scene, I really didn't have with 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 the Kingdom of the Unseen and Arthur. I really didn't know really what to do with that at the beginning. So this one was really interesting for me to do and really hard for me to do because it's kind of like with the Kingdom of the Unseen. Like, why are they really called the Unseen? Like, are they really like hidden or something like that? So after thinking on it, I was really kind of like, okay, what could I do here? So what I did was I kind of looked back on the script a little bit to really see kind of what I was hinting at with some of these places. And then I was like, Norway. Okay, let's see, how is Norway involved in all this? And then I was thinking about the Norse gods, and really how I saw it and so really kind of like what I did was I kind of made the kingdom of the unseen kind of like really a Norse god that you're going to really that called Tyr, which is the Norse god of war who really didn't want war but tried for peace. And the reason why they're called the unseen in my eyes is because they is because Ragnarok in my mind happened where kind of like the Norse pantheon kind of died out, but with some survivors. So like there's some Norse gods that have survived Ragnarok, but the Greek gods were really still alive at the time, and and then eventually the Greek pantheon died, and and then we have like the Christian pantheon, if that makes any sense. So that's really kind of like what I wanted to explore in a sense. Like if I wanted to make a spin-off or something out of like if I wanted to make a spin-off of the of Justice League Pandora's Box, I would have it be exploring what happened throughout the pantheons and really the past of the DCEU. But I really don't think that's gonna happen because I feel like because for me with what I have is planned for in store, I think it really doesn't need it. But if you guys want to explore that in your own sense, you guys can do it. You guys can do it on your own. So, yeah, I just think that's really interesting in a sense. Like, there are some Norse gods that are still around in the world after Ragnarok. Now, now this scene right here, I really did want to explore. Like, really, in my timeline, Shazam 1 and 2 already happened, but Shazam 2, it wasn't the villains that they have for Shazam 2, but it's actually Black Adam who was the villain for Shazam 2. And you're really kind of like exploring what happened after Shazam 2. And in my mind, Black Adam basically wrecked the entire Shazam family, and now you have Victor coming to the Shazam family, including Black Adam, where you kind of like see what Black Adam's perspective of things was doing. Like he was fighting the Shazam family, but not to kill them, but really to test them for the battle to come with Darkseid. Because that's really the thing about Black Adam in the DCEU. He's not really a villain. He's really just a protector in his own way. So he was really just testing the Shazam family to see how strong they are. But he needed to make it look real so that the Shazam family doesn't hold back. But how I imagine it ended in Shazam 2 with the fight with Black Adam is the Shazam family still being kids, they still held back. They didn't want to kill him. But, and that's really where the Shazam family fell because it's like we get it, they're kids and all of that, but at the same time, from Black Adam's perspective, he Darkseid he knows that Darkseid doesn't care about if you're children or not. He'll do whatever it takes to win. and yeah, really, yeah, this scene really ends as like a subversion of like the heroes teaming up, but actually some of the villains, quote unquote, or as I call them, anti-heroes. Because to me, really, I think the villains, the quote villains of the planet Earth, aren't. I don't really see them as villains. Like I don't even see the Joker as a villain, as you'll see later on, as you've seen in Justice League Pandora's Box. But I really don't see all of every one of the villains as villains, except for one. Like all of these characters really are good in their own sense, and they've been put through a lot of trauma. But but really, to me, how I wanted to make this was I wanted to make this whole thing like in Earth there really are no villains. There there is only one. And really that was really the kind of like the hard part for me with Darkseid. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Now, for this scene right here, I wanted to also explore also the family dynamic of that's really why I introduced the League of Assassins as well, and the Al Ghul's, where you have Damien and Talia actually helping out Bruce, because I felt like we've never really seen really the family aspect of Bruce, and really also Talia and Damien, and I really think that was really I think that was really fun for me to do, because, like I said, we really haven't really seen in any media at all what the family aspect of this situation with Talia and Damien, because basically we can't really say it on YouTube because because stuff. But I really do feel like it was it was really fun to really kind of like explore the family aspect, because you have like these three warriors of really in really Batman and two other trained assassins, but they're not really a family. So I wanted to really explore like really what would these three warriors do to have a family dynamic. And I also feel like throughout this whole journey, Damien is having his own arc as well to really take up the mantle of Batman, because I felt like he really does, like he's really just not there. He's really just not. He really has been hated a lot, and I really couldn't see why. I still can't see why. I think he's really one of my favorite Robins, so I really wanted to do him justice to really show like really how I really do see him as Batman, and to really how his character arc goes, because how I saw it, he was how I how Damien is in this movie, in this project, he's in my mind 15, and Damien in the past has always been 10 or 13, and that's really where the arrogance comes in, because it's like he's a kid, of course he's going to be arrogant, but 15 to me is really the general age where kids start making that turn, like, huh, maybe I should mature or something. So for this aspect, I wanted with going through the Amazons and everyone's celebration of history. I really wanted you to put in that hopefulness in everyone's mind to be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, this is gonna go. We're fine. We're actually gonna win this. But I wanted to actually get a lot of people's hopes up, and then when Darkseid comes, that's where things get crushed. Like you have the Amazons having a celebration. You, you have in Atlantis all the celebration of the Seven Kingdoms uniting. It's so basically like everything's going good. Everything's going good, and you think everything is gonna be fine and dandy. Where you think everyone is ready to fight Darkseid, but as you'll see later on, no, he isn't. No, no one is ready for Darkseid yet. Now, introducing Ivar the Boneless to me was really another aspect of of Arthur's character arc because for those who don't know, Ivar the Boneless was really kind of like was really is really one of the most well known uh, well known Vikings of his time in the Ragnar Lothbrok family, where he was like insane and really kind of fought like a demon, as a lot of historians portray him as. But he was also wise, and you can really kind of like see how that interprets into Arthur Curry, where he's really kind of like a chill, laid back person, where he's like where in a king sense you would think that he's crazy, but no, he's just a normal dude. And that's really kind of like with Ivar. He said that what is it that makes a king? What makes kings think that they can behave like idiots? And really I think that really does summarize Arthur's whole character arc. Like really, like is he an idiot? Like he's a king, but he's an idiot. But really, what is a title at this point? So that's really kind of like what I wanted to explore with Arthur's journey. Now, for this aspect, the events of the first Flash movie, which didn't have time travel in the original slate. In the original, it was just going to be a flat, typical Flash movie, no time travel, but Captain Cole was the villain, and and really they found evidence of Henry Allen being innocent. So I so yeah, that's just a little tidbit from that. Now, for this reveal, I really wanted to actually hammer in home with Barry revealing that he's the Flash to his father, and I really wanted to make it like a. I really did want to again make all the hope come in and all the feel goods come in for everyone to see like, man, I feel happy for him and really everything like that. So really like this whole happy phase to me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give everyone this happy phase and then I'm gonna crush them. So I thought that was really fun, a really fun thing to do. And but it was also in Zack's storyboard, so I really did keep that in because in hindsight, I think Zack would have cut that in because it would have risen people's hopes of like, yeah, we're gonna finally defeat Darkseid. It's all been leading up to this. Yeah, yeah, let's get it. But then, but then you get completely crushed and floored by what just happened. Now, for this whole aspect, like, I really did think that I really did want to explore really not like with, like how I said about Perry being the family man of the Daily Planet. I also wanted to really kind of like explore really the family aspect of the Daily Planet because with even with how small they are and really how business savvy they have been, they really have just been. They really are just a family and all together. Like I could really see the family aspect, especially in the closing moments of Man of Steel. Like I really could see what's going on with the family aspect in Man of Steel and BVS. Like Harry checking on like Harry saying, "Hey, telling Lois, hey, you might not want to do this," and reveal an alien. This could really be bad for everyone. You need to think about everything else, and really at first, like that's really the thing, you know. At first, it may seem that he's being a jerk about it, but he's really just out here, really protecting everyone in the Daily Planet the best that he can, without involving the police. So I think that aspect was this aspect was really good to explore, with, especially with the family dynamic. Now, for Bruce and now for the Al Ghul, now for Talia, Damien, and Bruce, they are actually in the aftermath, and really they're still warriors at this point, but really haven't been a family. And them actually witnessing the Riddler's suicide with is actually the first thing that shakes them up. Like even Bruce to a sense, because Bruce really has known Riddler for a long time, and I was thinking about this from the whole entire aspect. Like, why would the Riddler shoot himself when he's really excited about the next challenge? Like, I really did see throughout the comics and the video game, the Arkham games, no matter how annoying it is to get those Riddler trophies, I really did see that in a sense, even though he was mad about Batman winning all the time, he was really just kind of like I did see him as kind of excited whenever he's going against Bruce Wayne and in these Riddler games that he's doing. Like he's really excited about the next challenge. So why would Ed be mad, would be scared now to go to suicide? And and really when they hug and when Damien calls Bruce and Talia dad and mom and dad for the first time, that really to me kind of like solidified, okay, he's finally being a kid now for the first time where he's not calling his parents mother, father, grandfather, because grandfather because like grandfather, mother, and father, to when Damien says it, is a lot has a lot of respect to it. But when he's like saying mom and dad for the first time, he is finally letting himself be a kid in these 15 years of life. And that also goes into the future about like really what happens later. Now now Lex's plan was really kind of like to lead Darkseid to this mousetrap situation, and and yeah, so really how I wanted to do this was really kind of like in my mind and how I wrote this scene. I took it as like a Darth Vader Rogue One as that Darth Vader Rogue One the corridor scene where basically Vader is just wrecking shop on everyone, just simply walking to the door like I'm gonna get to that door and there's nothing that can stop me. I wanted to do that aspect for this scene with Lex's League versus Doomsday, where it's like how with all those traps set in place, he with all those traps set in place, he Darkseid still could not be stopped. Now for this scene right here, there's another really interesting character arc for the human side of Cyborg, where Victor's second character arc is going back into his past where he sees his parents die. And I wanted to really explore the human side of that because really Victor really hasn't given his parents a proper goodbye, as you're seeing right here. Now, now Orm's death was really something I really wanted to do, kind of like something special where he for this where he didn't where he found out that his where he knew that he was going to die, and even though he felt sad about what he did, at the end of the day he still cared about his brother, who he barely even knows. Now, really with this interaction, I wanted to make it short and powerful because that's really the thing. Like Lex and BBS wanted to always felt bigger in the room, the biggest person in the room, the smartest person in the room, and usually kept running its mouth. But when he finally meets Darkseid, I was like, I feel like to really hone in on really the intimidation factor of Darkseid, that Lex can't really talk that much. Like he really can't talk that much. He has to feel some sort of fear, to really be like, okay, even Lex, for someone who is arrogant as him as he is, he really can't say anything else about suit. Can't really say anything about Darkseid because he knows if he keeps running his mouth that he definitely will die. And when Lex finds out he figures out his entire plan, he figures out that after he tells him he's gonna die. So and then he accepts his death very reluctantly, saying that Lois is the key, and he and that's how it just happened. He just accepted his fate, and to me, Lex is always is a person who would accept his death with dignity. Now this right here, they where Bruce leads the now the thing about Bruce's arc, I didn't really talk about Bruce's arc and really what I wanted to do with this. But throughout this whole story arc in Justice League Pandora's Box, I really wanted to really explore really his character arc and being a actual knight. Because to me, I don't really think that in media Bruce really has been a knight. I think he's really just been a warrior, both in comics and video games, and really all other media. I think Bruce has always been a warrior and not a knight. And really, I just wanted to explore that instance into making him from a warrior to a knight for the first time. And I think that really went well in Pandora's Box. So, yeah. Now, this right here with Lex's entire fight, like, yeah, that's pretty explanatory. Like, I really wanted to make an instance of, like, when would, like, why would he go, how would he, like, what is the thing that make, like, would make Superman go to the dark side? Like, yeah, it's killing Lois, but I thought that would really be something very trivial in a sense. So what I decided was that Superman him, would actually fight Darkseid for a little bit, and Darkseid would actually hold back because he knows how much you raise a person's hopes up about winning a battle. Once he comes to the realization that he was holding back and getting his hopes up, he will higher and higher. The despair, the deeper he will sink into despair and go into the anti-life and fall to the anti-life equation. And I really thought that was really interesting. Now, this whole cave scene, this to me was like really rough. Like I actually visualized like this whole situation. Like, oh man, this would be really tough. Seeing both Superman and seeing both Clark and Bruce's worlds come crumbling down right in front of them. That would really be rough to see for both of them. Make them I had to make them see their family's death and trauma at the same time because it would make sense in that aspect for like how for like the comparisons of Superman witnessing trauma for the first time with really killing with having his world being killed right in front of him and Talia being killed in front of him while Damien gets his bones by shattered by Darkseid, and I thought, man, that is really rough. Let's go with that. So yeah, I thought that was really fun. Thought that was really fun. And now we're seeing the fallout and of everything, and it is just rough. Like it is just rough. Like you've seen all these different tribes of men, Amazons, Atlanteans, celebrating from before, and then you're seeing all of their worlds just crumbling down. You're hearing about it, you're visualizing it one by one. Everyone is everything that you went through in part one of everyone being happy is being turned to dust just one by one. It is just like just visualizing it. It's like a really haunting scene to see. Now, John Stewart being introduced in the second act was me already in the second part of Justice League Pandora's Box Part 1 was me already hinting at once again, like was really hinting at something more like why like it makes you ask the question of really like why was he there? Why wasn't John Stewart there to begin with? Why wasn't he there? Like you said you were going to be there at the end of the Justice League of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but why weren't you here? And that's really the continuity that I had with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, where does it fit in? I like how I put it. Is the Justice League Pandora's Box fits in with the assembly cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, where where basically everything that we heard of, we've seen we've we've seen that in the assembly cut, the 5 hour assembly cut. And so this is where Justice League Pandora's Box to me fits in. It's in the context of the assembly cut, not just Zack Snyder's Justice League with the 4 hours, but the actual 5 hour cut of Justice League. Now for Joker and Bruce, I kind of wanted it to be like a kind of like a kind of like a showing of like they are co-leaders in the Nightmare League, like they're the co-leaders of the Nightmare League because to me it was because to me the it was like really like I was really interested in a kid as a kid to see Joker and Batman teaming up, and I was like, huh, with the League, with the Nightmare League, how would that really work? And I was thinking that, they could be co leaders in a sense for the Nightmare League, and I really do think I pulled that off, as you guys will see. Now, the reason why I Now, now I know a lot of people are kind of like curious, like, hey, why did I leave out Mira? Well, it's because of the whole Amber Heard situation. And I know that, like, writing it this, it's like, dude, you just don't imagine it's Mira. Don't imagine it's Amber Heard, but really, I just couldn't really morally do that because it's like, whatever. But yeah, so basically, I kind of did replace. I did replace Mira with Volko out of morality, so that's why I put Volko in the Nightmare League and not Mira. And also because I can't do a British accent. I can't. Yeah, and that's really the thing about this. Like, Joker is really like being very cautious of like new people that he hasn't seen because really in this whole co-leadership role with Bruce, he he seems like in looking at it from a distance, it's like Joker is just being edgy for being edgy. He's gonna kill Green Lantern because he's the Joker, but he really isn't. He's really just, he's looking out for the team. That's really what he's doing. So really going into this, like this also kind of ties in to the assembly cut where it's revealed if you actually really delve deep into the to the Snyder cut. In the 5 hour assembly cut, there's actually a scene of Barry actually going and actually in college, and there's like a scene of him actually doing these theories of of him using the speed force to travel through the multiverse, and he's never really tried it. He only recently, as of Zack Snyder's Justice League, recently tried just use just went to the just went to, back in time a few seconds, and that's only the extent of time travel. And I really do think that with how the Flash was moving in just a few seconds, I feel like the Earth aspect of it, like the planet Earth, speed, motion, that Zack wanted to use as a rule didn't really apply because the Earth was already destroyed prior to him time traveling, and that also it was just a few seconds, so we would still relatively be on the Earth's surface and not just in space. So that's really how I saw that whole time traveling aspect thing. Now this right here, like it, like his, like really Damien telling Bruce, don't let your fear get the better, anger get the better of you. It's like he kind of like his is really kind of like another step in the right direction of like even though he Damien usually got angry all the time, he's still like using the lessons that he's learned through life and not really through his dad, but through life because he wasn't really around his dad a lot, except in my except for a few occasions. So really, I think that was so really with his dad, with Damien lecturing Bruce a little bit and teaching him stuff, and it really does, kind of elaborate that Damien is getting ready to be Batman. Now this right here, like this little rant, I like this is really the culmination of 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 Damien's character arc, where he is now talking to his dad about everything that has happened and really how he's been holding on to this anger for so long that he finally has to let it out. And at first you may think it's arrogance, but if you're actually paying attention, like Damien is actually speaking a lot of truth about this situation. So I thought that writing that scene was really fun to me. Now the reason why Joker kind of like let him go off, and the reason why I gave Joker this backstory was really to show that hey, if I can make the Joker backstory, then basically anyone can have it saw backstory. I think that's really the thing where Joker and the dark side they kind of like separate. And this is really why I said before that I believe that really we in fiction really have a villain problem because as you see, I actually gave Joker a pretty good backstory as you can tell, but really the really hard part was really to make Darkseid a villain, and I know that it makes sense in hindsight to be like, oh, he's just a big CGI monster, yada yada yada, and he doesn't have a backstory. I don't know why he's doing these things, yada yada yada. Like to me, it's really hard to make a villain nowadays. Like it's really hard to make a villain nowadays where where he that it's like a where it's like I can't give him a backstory. So what can I do to make him a villain in this? So what I decided to do was really have the dark side kind of like be this looming threat, kind of like a Palpatine, but really not a Palpatine, because even Palpatine to me, he really wasn't a villain. Like he to me wasn't a villain because he cared about people. Like he really did care about people, no matter how you look at it. So to me, I had to make it like a looming threat, like Juko and Oshima, be where it's like you really can't sympathize with her. All you can do is really kind of hate him and be like, and say, yeah, he needs to die, sort of thing. So yeah, it was really hard to make Joe. It was really hard to make Darkseid an actual villain. So I basically kind of like made him like this looming thread, like part one of Pandora's box was really what he was capable of, and then volume two of part one is really about like what has he done to the world and why do we need to get back at him for what he's done to the earth. Because I feel like for Thanos, it still didn't make any sense to me with Endgame. You know, that it to me with Endgame, it kind of made the Avengers look like idiots to me. But that's just me. Because, because it's like, because really, like, Thanos really didn't do anything that bad. And that's really the bad thing about Western villains nowadays. So I just needed to make a Darkseid like an actual villain. So I just so that everyone is on the same page, you know, that yeah, Darkseid needs to die. Like this guy needs to die. And at first that was really hard, but I after proofreading it, I was like, yeah, this is a really good thing I made for Darkseid right here. Now for now for the time travel aspect, I was like, okay, how could I really explore that? But really, yep. So yeah, and so now we're with the joke with there was a little Easter egg I put there where his Joker mentions a subway, and that little Easter egg in my mind was that that subway that he was talking about, that Joker was talking about, that is in the mother box, is actually the same subway that was in the air, that's in the air cut where Joker was at with Enchantress. So I thought that was a really cool Easter egg. So, and throughout this whole situation, like, there's the question of like what really happened to the Green Lanterns. Like, why is John Stewart the only one there? Why did he say, oh, why did he say that? Oh, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a better reason why I wasn't there at the at the invasion of the dark side. Like there's kind of like a looming mystery that I put there, and as you'll see as we're getting to a close, that you know he there you'll get the answer. Now for this aspect, like with the whole explaining of the children, the dark side saying that the children are the future. This was really kind of like hard for me to do because I was like, okay, I need to make an explanation and really kind of like hint at. I really need to make an explanation as to like why Darkseid is doing what he's doing, but I can't say it outright. I need to be subtle with it. So then I was like the going through comics, and then I found this line where Darkseid was when he first took over the in Final Crisis, where he took over, he where he had the anti-life equation. He first went after the kids, and he said that essentially the kids are our future, our young are the future, and that was like, and to me that was really explanation enough. That was really kind of like explanation enough. But really, to me, Darkseid at the end of the day knows what he is, and really, we probably missed it somewhere during this commentary, but there's actually a hint at kind of like this cycle that's going on. Like there was a line that I had someone say that, yeah, that Joker said, wait, how many times that kind of goes into the sense of like, how many times have we gone through this? And that's really kind of like what I was hinting at, like really like how many times have has this battle with Darkseid been going on? And that's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what I plan on doing. If that's what I plan on doing, at least because it, at least until at least if the Snyder versus Scissor Sword, I won't do it. But if it isn't, and there is a definitive no from Zack, then I'll be done with it. Then I'll do the second part because I pretty much have the have the script done and undone at the same time. Like it's really weird, but really what part two was going to be is like me exploring like what kind is really exploring the cycle a bit. Like it's not really like the ring cycle, but it's really more in line with the Michelangelo painting, the yin and yang symbol, the like really just all of the cycles going together, and the song "Will the Circle Be Unbroken." So that's really kind of like what I was hinting at with this Justice League Pandora's Box, because Justice League Pandora's Box kind of like leaves a lot of questions, and then there will be answers in part two, but that's really for another time. Now, for Joker being kind of the laughter of the situation, like I wanted him to be like to be kind of like me, us in that situation, like because like we're celebrating with the Joker, like yeah, let's get it, let's get it. So really, I just kind of wrote him as not like the comic relief, but really kind of like the audience, kind of like the audience member in the project. Because like the audience, I wanted to make him in the shoes of the audience. Now, this fight right here in my mind was with Superman and Green Lantern. I wanted to actually with the Nightmare world. I wanted it to not only be a gimmick, but as to really once again be like, oh, why do we need to? I wanted it to be. I wanted this whole Nightmare death kind of like death lineup to be like even more brutal in my mind than Darkseid's attack, where and even Darth Vader's. So this whole thing was really another inspiration. This whole scene was another inspiration that I had with the Darth Vader Rogue One scene. Now for this right here, like writing this part right here was really rough for me as well because it's like really what like imagine you're in I wanted to you to really imagine like what is a nightmare like what is the worst nightmare that you could do that you could have as a parent where you have your child taken over by dark side and and by someone and the anti-life equation and to win and to survive you have to actually kill your own flesh and blood but you know it's not your flesh and blood. So what would you do? Would you kill it? Would you kill your own flesh and blood or to save yourself? Or would you let your son or daughter kill you in such a brutal way with a machine gun? And I think that really was like a really rough scene for me to write because it was like, man, how really what would I do in that situation? Like what would I do? Like would I really kill my own flesh and blood to save myself? So yeah, that scene was really rough for me to write. Now, them shedding a tear to me, like I really did think like like the anti-life equation didn't really kill them. They are still deep in there, and that gives you hope. Like, yeah, it's okay. They're fine. It's okay. They're still in there. They're still in there. But the fact is that even though they're still in there, they still see the despair of them doing all of these horrific acts for the past 5 years, including their killing their fathers, parents, their own family, and for 5 years, and for 5 years they've been doing all of these horrific acts with no with nothing but despair, having to watch them do that stuff. And that to me is another aspect of the nightmare that this world is. Now, this right here, like, I really did feel like, with Shazam and Black Adam, I think that would really be just a really cool fight to see of Black Adam and the Shazam actually teaming up against Superman because really I think we all want to see we all DC fans wanted to see Bruce wanted to see the Black Adam and the Shazam, these rivals teaming up for the first time ever. And the reason why I also did that was because, like, you know what, with all this stuff about Henry Cavill being in Shazam 2 and Black Adam, I was like, I had to include it. But I also wanted to include it because I didn't want it to be tribalistic in a sense, like, oh no, we can't have Shazam and this stuff like that because that's the multiverse. But really, I did feel like it would really make sense for Shazam and Black Adam to be to be one of the survivors in the Nightmare World. And I know people are gonna say like for peace, what about Peacemaker and James Gunn's Suicide Squad? But I just really couldn't see any of them being the survival of the fittest, and that's really how I saw the Nightmare World to begin with. Is like it's the survival of the fittest. Who would be a survivor in the Nightmare World? So that's why I included Shazam and Black Adam, even though they're a multiverse. I did feel like all of all of the all of DC is involved, even if we do have to even the multiverse, because to me it's like we could have DC, we can have the Shazam, we can have Black Adam, we can have everyone else on here, like as you'll see later on. But yeah, that's why I included Black Adam and Shazam because I really did see them as survival of the fittest in the Nightmare World, and I didn't want to be tribalistic for everyone. Now, for Joker killing Damien and Bruce, the joke here, the joke here that I had was that Joker, like a lot of people think that Joker wanted this world, wanted Gotham to be desolate and everything, but but the joke is that he didn't want that. Like the Joker to me never really wanted to destroy Gotham. He just wanted to torture it for what Gotham has done. Because in the backstory, I he basically Gotham itself created Joker, and he just wanted to take revenge by not killing the city, but wanted to really torture it very slowly. And that's really a really fun aspect to it as well because another joke in it is that he was always thought to be a traitor or something because I saw a lot of people before saying that, oh, he's gonna betray the Nightmare League and stuff like that. But I really did think of that as a kind of like a cool joke in itself. So now the plan is working and everything is coming together. And in my mind, it's like this whole montage of all the movies coming together in this like huge montage of communication. Like everyone, like you're seeing all of these universes, everything coming together, preparing for this final war. And I really do think that I liked that. And in my mind, it was like Xerxes. It was Dilios's voice, kind of like narrating this part, and I could really see the actor who played Dilios, actually killing it in this narration, like saying, "This is what's going down. It's going down. Everyone is preparing for war. We got this." Now the thing is like about this like whole constants and variables thing that I mentioned. Like with time travel to me, I really tried to do the constants and variables aspect, like something is different yet the same. And that's really also kind of like hinting at something different, like something bigger going on. Now, this right here with Bruce's death is finally him. He is finally the cultivation of him finally accepting his role as a knight, where he actually sacrifices himself to save someone he loves. And I think, and really, I think that was really a beautiful end because his he was saving his wife and the mother of his child, and it just really was something beautiful because, like I said, Bruce and Batman to me has always been like this warrior archetype and not really just and really not just the Dark Knight. He's always been the detective and the warrior aspect, and really to finally now see him being the warrior that him being the Dark Knight that he's been told for that he is for so long is really just something beautiful. And yeah. So in this timeline, the constant with with Lex being there, and with Lex and the Black Manta being the constant in this aspect of is Lex gets kidnapped by Lex gets kidnapped still by Darkseid, but the constant is, but the variable, the difference being in this is Lex and Lex and Black Manta, David, are still there and are kidnapped and are really having a plot to take over to destroy Darkseid's ship and Armada and Darkseid himself. So that's really the constant and variable right there, which immediately I was hinting at again that there is something deeper going on in this cycle. now with the multiverse was growing, that was just a little bit of me just saying, exploring that the multiverse is infinite. It's gonna keep on growing. So that was just a little nod to the infinite Earth situation. Now, now, now the cyborg leading bounty hunters was a really cool Easter egg for the Alita army. That's a really the cyborg leading bounty hunters. That was a really cool Easter egg for the Alita army. Hope you guys give that Alita sequel. But yeah, that was a really cool Easter egg for the Alita army. Now John Stewart saying that things have been a little busy was again something at me hinting that something went down, but something went down, but we don't know about it yet. So that was just me kind of like another hint at something. Now this now this right here once again was really just something that I needed to be very careful about with what Darkseid was saying because once again I didn't want him to be I didn't want to give him a backstory, and that's really the hardest part to do about a villain is not to give him a backstory, and that's to me was like wow. Okay, so what do I do here? So really, like basically, Darkseid really at the end of this really knows what he is. Like he does know what he is, and that to me is like really scary. And is a really terrifying villain because you can't reason with him. And I really like that about Darkseid as a character and a villain. He just knows what he is, and that's why I think he's really one of my favorite villains of all time, really. So, really, I just let him be cryptic by saying it doesn't matter because he knows what he is and he knows what's coming next. Now, this right here is really just kind of like the fallout, and they're really just giving you something hopeful, and really just like, wow, you could really just see the culmination of everyone's character arcs, and I think it was like really great. Now, Aquaman's story arc in this, to me, was that he still is the same person, but it's really a very interesting character arc because he's still the same person that he is, but he now understands that he has to be king, but he's a king now that knows what he is and he leads how he leads. He doesn't try to be anyone else. He just be him. So he's kind of like so if he's a kind of like a dude bro king, he's a dude bro king because he knows he's just a person, but he's still a king because there's he still respects the history of the Atlanteans. So he really doesn't just change the politics of Atlantis because he knows the history and the war that it would make to just change the politics of the world like that. So for now, he just decides to be a king, but he's like kind of like a gung ho about it, just himself. And I think that's a really interesting end for a character arc. Mm. Now, for this right here, like the reason why I put Superman Cape of Way is because like I was thinking like I really didn't see Super Clark being a hero forever. I really did see him like kind of like taking care of his family and really being a family man throughout this whole time. Like he like with the children, like with the next generation Justice League, I imagine that Clark knew that the world was in safe hands, but then 20 years later, you have Damian who has been through it all, coming back to Superman, coming back to Clark, saying basically, we need your help. We know what's coming. We don't know what's coming, but we do know it's something big. And when are you going to tell him because he needs to know? And that to me, what and that to me was like a and that to me was like a really interesting end to the interesting beginning for who Clark for Jonathan Kent, where he's like very intimistic, very powerful with this whole situation. So yeah, what I found interesting about it was like, you know, it was is that now John finally knows who he is and where he comes from, and and really for like the constants and variables, like the last constant variable in this whole timeline is that Grail, Grail, who is that the Lanterns have problems with something or someone, and then I finally reveal it to be that Grail was the issue all along for the Lanterns. So the constant is Darkseid dies, but the constant is that Darkseid dies, and and the variable is Darkseid dies, but the variable is that Darkseid dies, but the constant is that Grail is always next in line. And with Jonathan now finally accepting his role as Superman 20 years later, I think it's going to be really interesting to see where the finale of this goes. Obviously, I know. Obviously, I know because I have the script written down. But I think it's still going to be very interesting to see what you guys think about it, because to me, like, I'll let you guys in on a secret with the script. Like, the script that I have is done and it isn't done. So, once again, like, it's done but isn't done. And I really do find that part really, interesting, because something that isn't done, it can't be shown. But I think like the script that I have, like I said, it's done, but it isn't done. So I think you guys are really gonna enjoy the possibility of seeing it, and really going to see where whether this cycle will be broken or not. So yeah, that's my commentary on Justice League Pandora's Box, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And a shout out to T Flame for this new camera. It really works out. Thank you for the birthday gift, man. Thank you for the birthday gift, man. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.